rapidly and steadily coasting towards the end of the year 2023. To God be the glory for this, keeping us alive throughout the year 2023, marching into the year 2024. Welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. We'll bring you that program you need to watch and know what is happening in the world of security, both private and public security. Will bring you information. This week, we'll be continuing from where we stopped last week, the part 2 of the interview with the National Coordinator of the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Major General Abadiko, retired. But that will be after the report from the Nigerian Army headquarters. But my name still remains Patrick Abambu. As usual, we'll go every length to bring you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Yes, let's go to the Army headquarters where Shirley Daniels brings us a report on what transpired on Wednesday at the Army headquarters. Sit back.
On Wednesday, the 29th of November 2023, at the headquarters of the Nigerian Army, the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, briefed the media on the successes recorded so far by various exercises of the Nigerian Army. It will be recalled that on the 9th of October 2023, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, formally launched Exercise Golden Dawn 3, Exercise Stillwater 3, Exercise Enduring Peace 3, covering 20 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including the FCT. Exactly 51 days after, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu had this to say.
As you are aware, on 9th October 2023, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Nigerian Army Medal, flagged off exercises Stillwaters, Enduring Peace, and Golden Dawn in the South-South, Southwest, North Central, and Southeast geopolitical zones, respectively. On the whole, these exercises cover 20 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Furthermore, these exercises are traditionally scheduled to hold in the last quarter of the year to checkmate all forms of crimes as the Yuletide approaches. As it stands today, troops have maintained proactive offensive posture, conducting several kinetic and non-kinetic operations in the forms of raids on criminal hideouts and patrols, amongst others. So far, all the exercises have recorded significant successes. A look at exercise Enduring Peace 3 in North Central Nigeria. On 29 October 2023, troops of Guards Brigade with other security agencies conducted a raid operation at a suspected criminal hideout in Kuje area of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. During the conduct of the operation, troops arrested 3 suspects and recovered 1 motorcycle, 12 bundles of stolen cable wires, 30 cards of illicit drugs, and wraps of substances suspected to be cannabis. An insight into exercise Stillwaters 3 in Southwest Nigeria. In the Southwest region, on 2nd November 2023, troops of 9th Brigade, Nigerian Army, in conjunction with personnel of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Lagos State Command, conducted a raid operation on a suspected criminal hideout at Ifako, Ijaye. During the operation, 50 suspects, including foreigners, who specialize in international job racketeering, were arrested. In a similar development same day, same troops arrested 2 suspects at a hotel in Ogba, in Ikeja local government area of Lagos State. The arrest was in connection to the murder of one Malam Idris Ardo, the Ardo of Panya village in Plateau State.
Satisfied with the performance of troops so far, the Chief of Army Staff commended the gallantry and commitment of his officers and soldiers.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Abiodun Lagbaja, Nigerian Army Medal, commends troops for the modest successes recorded so far and urges them to sustain the tempo in order to decisively curtail the activities of criminals across the country. Troops are also encouraged to remain professional, vigilant, and accord utmost respect to human rights of citizens in their respective areas of responsibilities. The Nigerian Army urges law-abiding citizens to take ownership of the ongoing exercises and volunteer useful, actionable information to security agencies.
With these ongoing exercises and the achievements recorded so far, it is clear to say that the Nigerian Army, under the leadership of Lieutenant General Taurid Abiodun Lagbaja, is poised to make sure that law-abiding citizens go about their lawful businesses and also enjoy the coming holiday. Shirley Daniels, reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yes, like the report says, the Nigerian Army personnel are poised to ensure that Nigerians move around during this Yuletide season safely without any fear or trouble anywhere. Yes, let's go to the part 2 of the interview we had with the National Coordinator of NCCSALW, talking about General Diko. This war against proliferation of small arms and light weapons must be won, and everybody must put hands together to ensure that it is successful. Sit back as we bring you this report. We commonly use the word illicit arms. Which ones are illicit, for instance? Because we see arms as arms. Which ones are illicit?
So the illicit arms are those arms that are illegally acquired.
Okay.
Arms that is in the hands of an unauthorized person. And these are in categories. First, when you talk about small arms and light weapons, these are, these are weapons that are in a particular category. You know, a den gun is also a weapon.
Of course, yeah.
But its lethality is different. The pump action is also a weapon, but its lethality is also different. But when you are talking about small arms, you are not talking about those weapons that have the capability to discharge a projectile beyond 300 meters. And that is why it is only the military and security agencies such as the police, and in the case of Nigeria here, maybe the DSS, the civil defense, that are authorized to hold these weapons. So anything in the category of 9mm to 100mm in caliber is what we refer to as small arms and light weapons. Now, for the ordinary civilian, he will be wondering what is 9mm and what is this thing. So let me put it in perspective.
Okay.
We have what we call the pistol,
Okay.
which is a very small but very lethal, piece of weapon. It fires the 9mm. Then you have what we call the RPG-7. That RPG-7, you will see most times a lot of these bandits and terrorists, they brandish it because those are bombs-like, kind of weapons that is capable of even demobilizing an armored vehicle. And those things are just, the caliber of that is 70mm. And then you have some other kind of weapon systems too that are slightly higher in size than that RPG-7 which we see most of these bandits carry. So those are categorized as light weapons. Yes, I'm giving a range.
Okay, all right.
I'm giving a range.
Okay.
So in between this range, you have the AK-47 rifles, you have the anti-aircraft guns, those types that you see mounted on the back of vehicles, that have longer ranges. You have the other types of rifle. The AK-47 rifle is just one common preferred rifle. We have so many others that are in that category that fires the same caliber of ammunition that the AK-47 fires. But because that is what is commonly available in the market, especially in the free market, that is why every weapon people call it AK-47. But now the danger is that the kind of conflicts we are having today, people are beginning to see that the pump actions and the den guns that they are having is no longer providing them the kind of protection that they need in order to fend off, the assaulting and attack of an adversary. But you see, we are just compounding our problems. There are other, mechanisms that you can use to resolve a conflict.
Yeah.
And I think we must continue to encourage the use of those alternative means of conflict resolution in order to have peace in our societies. So the recourse to the use of AK-47 rifles is not the best of options, and it is becoming like an addictive drug. And and so there is the need to stem the supply of these weapons from source, and also from the middlemen who are into the racketing of this particular kind of weapon. And and that is what the National Center is doing. So there is so much sensitization that is ongoing. We are targeting all NYSC orientation camps in Nigeria. All NYSC orientation camps. We'll be holding interactive sessions with core members that are undergoing orientation at the NYSC orientation camp to sensitize them on the ills of the, these weapons, the small arms and light weapons. And we are also not only sensitizing them, but we are recruiting them as our ambassadors so that they can, help the state, and when I mean the state, I mean the nation, to propagate the fight against the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons. Yes, now, those artisanal weapons were, in those days, what we use as, our hunting, pieces for local game. But now, those artisanal, craftsmen have been able to improve on their, skills to the extent that they are able to locally manufacture those kind of, guns that can discharge the conventional ammunition, such as the 7.62, which the AK-47 rifle uses. So, and our job at the National Center here is to harness this skill set. When we talk about military-industrial complex, it's not only establishments that are formal. Even the informal establishments, we need to look at them and see how we can be self-reliant and see how we can help them to develop their skills, to improve on these things so that we can capture them and introduce them, mainstream them into the local military-industrial complex. So we've been, talking with the Defense Industries Corporation in Kaduna to see how we can recommend some of these people to them, and so that they can capture them into their local, resource base. So far, what we are doing is we are at the moment conducting an assessment of this skill set in all the 6 geopolitical zones. And you'll be amazed at the type of numbers that we've been able to, churn out so far. Quite impressive, but at the same time quite scary, because if these people are left, to continue to be patronized by non-state actors, then it means that in no distant future, almost every household would want to acquire that kind of, locally fabricated weapon. And the danger is that it can also be injurious to the owner, to the user.
Of course.
Because when it is not properly made, the combustion capacity of that can, also cause injury to the person who is holding it. And that is why we are seriously and vigorously pursuing how to harness this kind of skill sets for the benefit of the military-industrial complex.
Okay. So we are driving, we are coasting down home now because you have said so much, but so much still needs to be tackled. I know that you have been collaborating with all the security agencies that have one way or the other been recovering arms from illicit arms, either by way of arrest or different things, and you have been relating with them. What method is in place when these arms are collected? Do you get the figures from them? How are they being managed so that they will not find their way back again into the system? Yeah,
so again, that is one very important aspect of what we've been doing in the last 2 years. I did talk about physical stockpile management, which is PSSM for short. Now, within these last 2 years, we've had so much recoveries of illicit weapons. These recoveries are by security agencies, either through intelligence or through conduct of operations, either military operation or other kinds of operation by these several security agencies that we have, and also voluntary handover of some of these weapons by some concerned and very good citizens of Nigeria. Now, what we've done with most of this is that we've conducted an assessment of the preponderance of these weapons and how their source, so that we can raise a database. And, one of the key things is that most of these weapons that we've been able to receive from security agencies are weapons that have been taken from, conduct of operations against adversaries, bandits, and terrorists and other, sundry criminals. But at the same time also by the activities of various state police commands. Now, those that have been cleared out of maybe litigations or court processes have been handed over to us. Some we have successfully destroyed. We conducted 2 destruction exercises so far. One was held in Kaduna, the second one was held in Suleja here, and we've been able to retrieve and destroy more than 4,000 small arms and light weapons during this exercise. That of Kaduna in particular was well publicized, but the one that was held in Suleja was under closed doors. It was not covered but captured by the cameras, because that is what we intend to do henceforth. To reduce the circulation of these illicit weapons is, first we take custody of them and then we immediately destroy. We have the authority to reissue those that are compliant with what our security agencies are holding. We have the authority to issue it to them. Okay. The United Nations has streamlined that process. But because our security agencies are well equipped, we are not yet at the stage where we will start looking at what we seize from criminal elements, to start arming our security agencies. Nigeria is, a well-organized, state that has been able to streamline this particular process. But we don't keep them, we destroy them. Yep. So in all our zonal offices at the moment, we have holding facilities where we keep those that have been retrieved. The police and other security agencies, they share data with us on the seizures that they have made. And once they are done with due process and there is no any comebacks on whatever they have seized, they hand over these weapons to us, and then we take custody of them, and then we earmark a day or a time by which we destroy them. Now, those that we identify that may have come in through some kind of a gun-running syndicate, we begin to do a tracing, okay, so that we can identify the source. And once we get the source, we now, leave it to the legal department to see how we can institute legal action against those category of people, especially those gun runners that are only hell-bent on the economics of, of conflict rather than, the peace of, of the state. So we do that. Again, we also ensure that what is by accident legitimately acquired but falls into the hands of criminal elements, we identify it and we hand it over back to the principal owner of that, of that weapon, so that one, we remove it from the circulation of illicit, in the wrong hands, and secondly, we prevent it from falling back into the wrong hands. So we don't waste time in the management of such kind of seizures. We quickly, handle it so that there are no loopholes and gaps here that would further compromise our effort.
Okay, and I wanted to be an advocate for some Nigerians who would say, why do you have to destroy some of all these arms that still looks good, whereas some of our security forces can use it? But you have answered it by saying that at least we are relatively well armed. We don't need all those support. But let's come to this angle. It's commonplace for Nigerians to say, these criminals, these bandits, these terrorists, they are not operating alone, because how can they acquire all these expensive arms and all these? There must be some sponsors, both locally or internationally. These are just assumptions. But do you think that it's possible through this your agency to get to the roots of all this through this tracing you're talking about?
Yes, but it's also an instrument that has been institutionalized at the level of ECOWAS. Okay. We have the international tracing instrument where we can interrogate the source of a weapon. So agreed, non-state actors, irrespective of where they are, where they operate from, and what they do, if they are armed, definitely they are illegally acquired weapons. They are illegitimate weapons because they are not acquisitions of government of any state. So there is the need for us to understand that the non-state actors itself are not local. They have their international collaborators, because there is an end state in all activities of these non-state actors. It is not just for the joy of killing people or for the joy of attacking locations or for the joy of displacing people. What is that end state? And what is the linkage between the activities of those local non-state actors and their international backers? So for us at our level here, we would allow the institutions responsible for that kind of link assessment to do their job. Ours is to ensure that if any weapon is traced to any particular non-state actor and we are in possession of it and we are able to interrogate the actor itself, we will be able to now understand where it is coming from and how we can link it. And that is why we had this multilateral meeting. It is this reason that we actually came about the coding system, where there is a prefix for each member state of ECOWAS, and then within our own local arrangement in Nigeria, all arms-bearing agencies have been given their own prefixes as well. So there are 15 arms-bearing agencies in Nigeria, so NG01 to NG15. Yeah. So in due course, if the park rangers, for instance, are going to acquire small arms and light weapons, in their weapon registration, you will see that it has that kind of... so we are also putting structures in place to engage weapon manufacturers, because it is our responsibility as a state to interact with them so that they can understand where we are coming from. ECOWAS is doing its bit to ensure that they lay the foundation for member countries to be able to approach these weapon manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, so that we can have this system of numbering, so that a weapon that is meant for Nigeria is not sold to Sierra Leone, and a weapon that is meant for Gambia is not found in Nigeria.
That is good.
If it is found in Nigeria, we can easily interrogate the equipment manufacturer or the weapon manufacturer. How come a weapon that is meant for Gambia is found in Nigeria? And if it is through some other means of, you know, yeah, then we'll also be able to carefully follow how it came about. And then we can also be able to now profile these non-state actors and be able to establish their linkage. You can easily say that a non-state actor that is having weapons that are predominantly prefixed with Mali code, for instance, has a link to another non-state actor in Mali. Yeah. And then we can engage the Mali government and tell the Malian government, look, this is what we have found in our space, and there is the need for you to investigate.
Let me just ask you this, because even sometimes one gets worried that when some highly placed citizens will advocate that it's time for Nigerians to start bearing arms, you know, to defend themselves and all that. What will be your take on this?
Well, I think there is the Firearms Act. And the Firearms Act is specifically domiciled with the police. Even before now, you can acquire a license, a weapon that is licensed, but there are categories. And I think that has been clearly enunciated in the Firearms Act, what you can hold as a citizen and what you cannot hold as a citizen. So we must be very careful with generalizing it. We should ask the police on the appropriate guidance, on you know, on, I mean, what, you know, a citizen can hold as a weapon. I don't know whether I should say for self-defense, but normally those weapons are for game and then for some other kind of reasons. But by and large, I think irrespective of the caliber and irrespective of the type, this is not time that we should be thinking about everybody should, you know, be in possession of weapon. It's a very dangerous trend. For those of us who are from the military background, you see, there is a program in the military. Once you join the army or the military, it's called It Could Be You. That program, It Could Be You, tells you that the same weapon that you think is your instrument of protection is also an instrument of your destruction. So you have to be careful. For us, we are very, very careful in the handling of weapons as military men. Very, very meticulous in the handling of these weapons. So it requires a lot of training. Forget about the fact that when you press the trigger, a bullet leaves the chamber of your weapon. There is more to it than that. So let us not be trigger happy and begin to think that that is the only thing that defines security and protection. No. What defines security and protection is for you to say no to criminality, for you to say no to anything that would, you know, be adjudged as aiding and abetting, you know, the breakdown of law and order. And let me also seize this opportunity. All those who are claiming to be doing this similar work, as far as I'm concerned, if you are a person of national conscience and a patriotic Nigerian, you cannot continue to, you know, play on the sensitivity of our youth, our population that are in dire need of, you know, meaningful engagement, and continue to encourage them to believe that there is some kind of, you know, institution other than what government has established. You are just deceiving people, and then you are at the same time aiding and abetting these kind of crimes that are going on. So I will advise those people that think that they are advocating for some kind of, you know, weapons-free society or whatever, to stop deceiving people and stop, you know, dragging, you know, innocent youth into, you know, that deceit and into that kind of pot of corruption that is going on, because it is corruption. For you to go and set up an institution and then you have no respect whatsoever for the government of the day, and you are, you know, deceiving, you know, Nigerians, youth, and recruiting them to nowhere. We've received those reports. People have called us here to confirm whether we are recruiting. Please, don't deceive Nigerians. Don't aid and abet banditry and other kind of criminalities. It means that you have an ulterior motive. Those of you who are doing this, it means you want the state to fail. You want the state to fail. And it is not about that. The issue of the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons is the singular thing that is the main catalyst that is driving insecurity in Nigeria. It should not be toyed with. It should not be played with. People should not be dropping names all over the place and carrying paraphernalia all over the place and thinking that that is what it is. It's more than that.
Welcome back. Yes, unfortunately, we won't be able to conclude this interview this week, but we'll continue with it. You'll still get more of this because so much was given by the general on this issue of small arms and light weapons and the need to control it effectively. Yes, we must sign off now for other programs to continue, but if you have enjoyed watching us, join us again next week when we'll bring you another exciting edition of the program. But you can follow us on all our social media platforms, like us, and send your comments to us so that we can follow it up. Until next week when we'll come your way again, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye for now.